All right, I've got a listener question today. This one's been worded like a couple different ways, but the part to key in on, this comment was talking about different types of instructors. But the part that I want to talk about was he said there was another instructor when teaching fundamental like gun skills or shooting skills showed different ways to complete the task, and then let the students pick what worked best for them. Also, you could modify any technique to work better for you. Most instructors are gun gurus. Their way is the only way. So yeah, there's a bunch of different questions to that. But I want to talk about like the part of his question or comment talking about instructors teaching or showing different ways to complete the task and letting the students pick what worked best for them. I've seen this, I've talked to instructors and seen videos where there's kind of like a few different ways where it's explained. So I don't know. We could talk about one like grip. And so the thing I kind of saw or see play out would be you could try doing 100 and 100. So clamping hard with both hands. Try relaxing your firing hand, clamping with your support hand. Maybe try bringing your elbows up, like out a little bit. So doing like the horseshoe crush grip, try that to see if that works for you. So putting pressure into the pistol this way, while you kind of bring your elbows out. And then just kind of letting the students experiment to see what worked well for them or didn't work well. So kind of then just on your own with your target, you'd grip the pistol one way and shoot a little bit. And then it was like, I don't know about that. Let me try a different way. And having students bounce back and forth to like see what technique works the best. I've seen the arguments for why it plays out. In the end, I don't like it. My perspective is if people are coming to a class with me, they're paying me to be the expert. So in my brain, if I go to a class, I want somebody to tell me what's up. Like I didn't pay to go to a class. If I'm the student anyway, so I'm projecting the material I want, and that's, I'm going to put out the stuff that I would want to consume as a student, I guess is a fair summary. So if I'm going to a class for somebody that I want to learn, let's say it's long range. So I want to learn like long range precision shooting rifle. I wouldn't want the instructor to give me a couple different ways of holding the rifle or press the trigger. It's like, no, dude, you clearly know more than I do. I'm here to be the student. You just tell me what's up. Tell me what you want me to do, and I will try my very best to do it. And I'm not even promising I will, but I'll try. So that's the approach I like from a teaching perspective. So as opposed to talking about, like, well, you could try this grip, and this instructor does this grip, and some people like this grip, and, this might work for you. Try this. I don't like it as much. I feel like if somebody's paying me to take a class, they expect me to show them what's up. So I just show them proven techniques that work. Maybe there'll be some stuff where I don't care. For example, let's talk about grip. So for grip, one of the things I talk about in class, like everybody more or less does the same thing. Firing hand high on the gun, support hand hits the bottom of the trigger guard, hands close together. Maybe they like a little bit more like hands slid forward a little bit, or if their support hand, it's the wrist is forward a little bit, or back a little bit, or upright a little bit, or elbows go up a little bit, or whatever the case could be. Just little subtle differences. Or sometimes people like doing this, having the finger on the front of the trigger guard. As long as it's the same thing every time, I don't really care that much. As long as they're not doing something totally terrible, like a cup and saucer, where it's like, Dad, that's not going to work. We got to change. Otherwise, I just let them do their thing, and instead, I focus the effort on the pressures in the hand, because I think that's the most important, is how much pressure each of your hand is applying. And if it's consistent and on one, like you kind of hold it loose, then you start shooting, and then the next thing you know, you have to clamp down because you weren't holding it hard enough to begin with. So I pay more attention to the pressures and talk about that, because sometimes if I start talking to people about weird stuff, for example, let's say you're shooting, I'm like, hey, while I'm doing this, what is your ring finger of your support hand doing? Oh, never really thought about that. Let me think about that. Then the next thing you know, they'd be shooting, like, I wonder what my pinky does for my ring finger, or what about this? So I'm very careful about not putting thoughts in people's head that I don't want them to have. like the old joke, don't think about elephants, and people start thinking about elephants. It's related to that, but especially with nuanced stuff like grip, it's tough enough to do this the way it is. So I'm careful about not directing people's attention to things I don't want them to think about. So it'd be, hey, the advice I would give, hold the pistol firmly with your firing hand enough that if I'm moving the hand, like trying to move the pistol in my hand, it doesn't move or slip. My fingertips aren't necessarily all turning white or anything like that. I'm just holding it firmly enough that, like, you wouldn't easily pull it out of my hands. And if I was shooting one-handed, my hand would stay connected to the gun. It wouldn't move around, but it's not death gripping. Then support hand, however you want it. I like kind of the karate chop at the bottom of the trigger guard. Close, so your hands hit together. The pressure for the support hand. In my younger days, I would say grip it as hard as you possibly can. Instead, now I like just thinking of it in ways of connecting to the gun and using enough pressure so when the gun recoils, the gun doesn't move in my hands. Everything all stays together. So, for example, from the top of the index finger of my support hand to the trigger guard, that doesn't separate at all while I'm shooting. So then you use enough pressure to keep your hands connected to the gun. And while you're shooting, neither hand's moving or your support hand doesn't kind of slip down or slip forward, and then you have to kind of readjust it in between, engagements or while you move. So for just an example of a grip, I'm just talking about pressures because with all that, if I add it in, make sure your pinky, ring, this finger does this, your support hand, middle finger should be doing this. It's like I already gave you enough stuff to work on without giving you some kind of rabbit hole to go down. The next thing you know, they're just thinking about, they can't stop thinking about it. What does my ring finger of my support hand do? And then the next thing you know, it's tough to get them back on track, and they end up not getting the results they want. So anyway, that's my thought about what this person's saying. There was kind of in a bigger context, but anyway, I don't necessarily love just giving people a bunch of different ideas or options and then it's like, oh, there's the target, give it a try and let me know what works. Instead, I just prefer the method of what I would take if I was taking a class from somebody. I would want them just tell me what's up. I'm not here to experiment. I could do that at home on the range. Instead, just tell me how you do the thing or how you want me to do the gun, how to do the technique. I'll try my very best to do it. No promises, but just show me what to do and I'll try my best to do it. So let me know what you think. If you agree with me or if you think I'm crazy, if you like having multiple techniques or multiple ways to do a technique shown to you and then kind of letting you find your own way, I'm interested. So let me know what you think. If you just want like somebody to drop science and be like, this is what you do, or if you want to have some options, you kind of choose your own adventure along the way while you try and see what works for you. So appreciate you watching. Curious your thoughts. Like, share, subscribe, and all that crap. But if you don't, that's okay too.